All right, welcome to We the People with Josh and Rick on WKMnews.com. We're the voice of liberty here in the Ohio River Valley, and we just welcome you. Our guest today is candidate for State Representative Lisa Seng Shadday.
We'd like to thank the people here at Harry's for hosting us, as well as the growing audience. It's Harry's Stone Grill here in Madison, Indiana. It's a free promotion for them. I'd also like to thank our dear friend Doc from DuPont, as well as all the other men and women who have worn the uniform of our country in valiant service. We thank you, Doc. And Lisa Seng Shadday is running for candidate. She's a candidate for the 66th District of the Indiana House of Representatives, the General Assembly. So now we welcome her again, so I said her name right.
Thank you so much. Well, I want to thank you for all being here. I want to thank you for the opportunity to just visit with you. This is like a lot of door-to-doors all at once, and I've done a lot of doors. And I want to congratulate you on this wonderful concept. It's so fresh and new, and you're right on the cutting edge, and I'm sure that all of the youth that you have behind you, Rick, is helping you come out of the cave to have this great concept. It's wonderful for our community. So congratulations to all of you, and to WKM News.
So you've knocked on a lot of doors, you mentioned that.
Yes.
Just in general, what are people talking about? What are they asking you? What's on their minds?
Well, a lot of them are concerned about our country to begin with, and then, my job is to listen. And then a lot of times when I try to ask them about state's issues, they're interested a lot of times about taxes, property taxes. I hear that a lot. I hear concerns about education. I hear concerns about our roadways. I know that's a sensitive issue for some people, but it's a very important thing that our country, that our state provides and our taxes provide, that we have good roadway and we have good education, and that we have a good safety set up here, that not only on our federal level and our state level, but at our local level. So I hear a lot about those things. So it's very interesting.
Good. Where is the 66th district?
Well, it has been changed around here the last few years, so I'm still learning myself. I do know that it is all of Scott County, every bit of Scott County. It is a part of Jefferson County that is the city of Madison, on over into the town of Hanover. And then the town of Hanover, it goes down south to where we connect into Clark. And in Clark, we have New Washington, down into Charlestown area.
So when Governor Pence was here, I know you had talked to him about your passion for adoption. He was very interested in that. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, for those who don't know, I am an adoptive mom. My daughter's 22, and I always tell everybody, this May, she graduated from Rose Holman, so of course I'm a proud mom like anybody would be. However, in 22 years in our state, it's still very complicated and rather expensive to adopt, and I've never missed an opportunity with the governor to let him know my interest. In fact, I know he doesn't roll his eyes at me, but he gives that pleasant, I know what you're going to talk about look. And so I tell him I'm going to be a pleasant irritant. And every time I talk to him, even the day after the primary, I don't know how I did it, but I thought, how often do you get the governor on the phone? Right. So I said, I want to tell you what I'm going to work on, and it's going to be adoption. And so he's like, okay. And so last week at the State Fair, the governor hosted an adoption and foster family information fair. So I went up for that, and all these wonderful people who work in the field, who work with adoption all the time and foster care. And so I got to talk to them as an adoptive mom. I remember all of the hoops she had to jump through and the expenses and things like that. And so these people who work with it every day even informed me and helped me out with some information. I've also been really blessed to have a wonderful conference with the top adoption attorney in the state, Stephen Kirsch, and in fact, he's one of the best in the country. And he's given me his grocery list of what he would like me to get done. And so I'm all for going at it here. And the governor has said he wants to make Indiana the most adoption-friendly state. So of course I'm very happy to hear that. One thing I noticed that when I was talking to people who work in the field of adoption is that there's some things we won't be able to do right away. Some things, like anything, especially in government, move slowly sometimes. It's good that it moves slowly. However, I know that there are some things that we can make easier and more affordable early on. So if a family wants to adopt, or if a birth mother wants to participate in adoption, why do we want to delay that? Why do we want? I can tell you as an adoptive mom, I knew I loved my child from the moment I knew she existed. There was never a doubt that I loved that child. I also know that I wasn't real happy about the idea of any legal delays coming along and my child not coming home with me from the hospital. Not that we don't have wonderful, wonderful foster care, but if you can imagine the feeling of knowing that's your child and knowing they're going to go to some stranger's home that you have no choice in for a few days, it's a wonderful backup and it's a good necessary thing. However, if we can make that faster here, why not? If we can get these families together and keep the children out of the foster system, why not?
Right. You talk about the expense just real quick. Could you just, because to me, you've got a child that needs a home, someone who wants, in a perfect world, why is that expensive?
Well, no offense to any of my attorney friends, but attorneys tend to be a necessary evil. Now, let me back up. I don't want to chew on them too hard here. We do need to have securities and backups. We don't want to just toss children into homes. If you've ever adopted, you know what the term home study is. And it's very necessary. It's wonderful. Families who are giving birth, I know you and your wife are expecting another child. Did anybody come and check out your house before you got to bring the baby home?
They did not, thankfully. Yeah.
Well, and that's not to say it's bad. I'm not saying it is at all. Right. But it is part of the legal process, and I think that could be made more affordable and just a smoother transition, or a smoother process, let's put it that way.
Right. Gotcha.
This is We the People with Josh and Rick, the voice of liberty here in the Ohio River Valley. And we're delighted to have Lisa Seng Shadday, who's the candidate for 66th District. And I just got a question, Lisa. Is it the obstacles, are they regulatory or are they legislative? To me, the state of Indiana, bless our hearts, have overregulated as well. And is it a regulatory problem, or is it stuff that General Assembly's put in to, does it make it harder, for people to adopt, or just?
Well, I'm never going to tell you I know things I don't know. So it could be a combination of both. But if I'm told by an attorney who specializes in this on some specific legislation that could be done to make, all right, if a birth mother is entertaining or seeking counseling and is going to pursue adoption, first off, let me tell you, if that's you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. You have no idea the gift you're going to give to these parents. People are praying for your child. That being said, I think that there are ways that we can go about making it easier on this birth mother. She's already stressed. Why would you pursue adoption? Think about this. You're probably financially stressed, you're probably emotionally stressed, you may be in a position where nobody's supporting you. So there are ways to go about letting that process move faster and easier. And that is a legislative thing.
The whole checks and balances within the state of Indiana, I keep contending, we've had a couple of Democrat governors, we've had a couple of Republicans. Things have gotten better on the tax front as far as the Republicans, but it seems like still you have an overburdening bureaucracy. Is there something you can do about that when you get up to Indianapolis as the newly elected representative?
Sure, I'll have a magic wand, and all you have to do is just pick up your phone and use your pen. Okay, I'm sure. There is a process, of course, but I think because we are friends, so this is all fairness here. I'm all for smaller government, less bureaucracy. I think the government has specific things that we need them for, but I think they stand in the way a lot of business, which is then if you stand in the way of business and you're standing in the way of job growth, and of course, unneeded taxes on people. Again, we know I'd like to have a different system of taxes, but that's more of a federal thing. However, I would, in my dream world, we'd get rid of property taxes. I think they're immoral. My grandmother just passed away in January, lived a lovely 95 and a half years. I know that when my mother passed away in 2000, and I sort of inherited the care of my grandmother, my mother's dying wish was really get her out of that house. At 80-something, my grandmother was still trying to clean out her gutters and things she shouldn't be doing. But above and beyond that, her income had not kept up with her property taxes or her insurance. And to have someone have paid for their home in cash back in the 60s and now lose it because of taxation, I think it's immoral.
Right. You talked about regulation and, the federal government obviously, just don't even know where to start there. But so the federal government gets their power from the state, right? I mean, that we gave them the power through the Constitution. They have a certain role, and it seems like they're dictating to the states an awful lot through funding, etc. What can they do? What can the state do to try and rein that in, to try and be an obstacle? Obviously, it's going to be a small road bump, speed bump, but what can the state do?
Well, a brilliant man just walked in the door here a few minutes ago, and I promise you he will be able to address that much more eloquently than I do. However, states' rights are very important, and I think that whenever we have elected people in Washington to represent us and they fail us, it is the job of our elected states people to stand up for states' rights. So, again, I don't know everything, like I said, but I'll tell you that. If it comes down to that, stick my high heels in the ground and say, go back to D.C. with your overreaching.
Right.
Your opponent walked away from his responsibilities in the General Assembly not once, but twice. If Josh and I did that with our jobs, and I've been with the hospital 34 years, if I walked away from my job like that, they'd fire me. They'd fire him. You get elected, are you going to show up for work?
Yes.
Okay.
Long question, short answer.
Sometimes it's just easier.
But you've been banging on hundreds of doors around. Farmers, I'm a city kid. I'm never, ever going to understand what goes on the farm. What have the farmers been asking about?
Well, once they find out that I live on a farm and I grew up on a farm and that I know how to hoe fields of soybeans and corn, and I've worked with tobacco and cattle, and then I can probably milk a goat better than they can, then they start telling me that things like whenever we have regulation about how to plant and what to plant and those kind of things, farming is our biggest business in the state, and the government needs to stay out of their business so that they can be the providers of what we need most in this world, food, water, food. They provide a very needed service, so we need to protect our farmers and all those jobs. So.
All right, thank you for being with us. This is Josh and Rick on We the People on WKM News.
Thank you very much.